Looks like a young buck growing his first set of antlers there coming up. There he goes. There was actually a couple of them that jumped out of these bushes right here and ran across that little clover plot, and then I just happened to catch that one still sitting there. But anyways, guys, welcome back to another video here on Brotherhood Outdoors. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. It's been fun doing this. So if you guys like these videos, let me know by leaving a thumbs up and leaving a comment if you guys like seeing these and you want me to keep on doing it. I really enjoy it, and I would love to be able to keep doing this stuff to entertain you guys over on this channel as well. Today I'm going to talk about what happens to a clover stand after its second year. And this one is not mowed off right now, and I was going to mow it today, but I had to run by the bank and I couldn't take my truck and trailer through the bank, so I actually was not able to bring it over here to mow this off. This is what a clover stand looks like of white clover, Ladina clover. This is what it looks like on its second year. No fertilizer, no spray. All I've done is mow this. Take it for what it is. This is the way I grow all of my clover. I don't fertilize, I don't lime, I don't spray chemicals. I don't do any of that. All I do is I till again, make sure it's got a fine seed bed. I plant, and sometimes I'll take like an ATV or a zero turn and just kind of gently drive back and forth over it to give it a nice firm seed bed, but not bury everything up too much. Just enough to make sure the seeds settle and stick. You know, if we get a rain, they don't puddle up and bunch all up into one spot or whatever. So, but anyways, let me show you what this looks like here so you guys have a reference. I'm going to be mowing this hopefully later today, but I'm going to show you what it looks like not mowed. And this hasn't been mowed, I think, more than once. I think I mowed it once in like first or second week of April, right when stuff was starting to green up, and I just wanted to even it off. But other than that, I haven't mowed it one other time. So let me show you what this looks like. Basically, at its mature height, you know, with 2 years under its belt. So this is where the food plot starts. There's an old logging road coming out. Here's where the food plot starts, and it goes all the way down past that bush down there. This is just weeds, grass, bushes, whatever. Same over here, you know, weeds, grass, bushes, and then like everything over here is all the big timber. It goes all along a river system. So here's this food plot, and again, I like to keep mine as like feeding trails / strips, because just like those bucks, you know, those young bucks felt super comfortable in here. You know, it seems like when they're smaller feeding areas that aren't so small that they feel cornered, but not so big that they feel like they're in the vast open, like they feel like when they're out in that big ag field up there. It seems like you get a much better response out of your deer in this type of a setting. So as you can see, something's had its head down in here eating away at this stuff, but look how big and lush this clover is. This stuff is just unbelievably lush. And walking through this stuff isn't going to hurt it. I mean, it bounds back really good. You can see all the deer tracks through here from where they walked on through here and have been munching away on it. I mean, this stuff is almost up to my knees. Let me show you here. I mean, it's about knee height here. Pretty freaking tall, pretty crazy lush. I mean, this stuff is just amazing. And guys, for not having any, I mean, there's quite a bit of grass growing in it right there. But for not having any spray or any fertilizer or anything like that, this little edge I didn't technically seed. The clover spreading over to it, but I didn't technically seed that. I seeded from about here over. Look at this. Just look at how lush and how thick this stuff is. Look at a spider that was on my hand. Oh, I hate spiders. Anyways, I mean, this stuff is thick and tall and doing very, very, very well. You can see some of the stuff is getting overly mature. It's getting real big. But this clover is doing awesome, and the deer are loving it. They're super happy, and I can tell because they're in here all the time. You can see all the tracks and all the spots in here where they've stuck their head down and just been tearing into it. And people ask me, why white clover? Why Ladino clover? And you know, it's not that I plant that kind of clover because it's the only kind that the deer are gonna eat. A, it grows good in our region of the United States, and B, it can handle a lot of browse pressure. This property doesn't have near as many deer as like my Ohio property that I was showing you guys a couple days ago with a couple other videos, but this property has enough pressure, enough feeding pressure that when you're getting into the fall, let's say, and they take our last cutting off of our hayfield, there's not really any other crops still standing around here except for the clover that I plant. And there's other things you can plant. Like you can plant beans and you can try to fence them in, you can plant corn and whatever else and all that stuff. You can try to do that, but the problem is, unless you can fence them in with a hot zone fence or something to where the deer can't get to them, it makes it hard because you're gonna plant that stuff and the deer are gonna freaking eat it right off the top super quick, and then it's gonna end up, you know, seeming like you put all this time and all this effort into this beautiful plot and it doesn't even make it to the season. Then you have nothing for them to eat, versus this, they can browse the living crap out of this and it'll still be just fine. Like, it's still going to grow and it's gonna just rebound right back every time they nip it down. It's gonna grow back good. And the other issue too is in a plot like this, it's right up against the woods. So if you fence this in with an electric fence, those deer coming out of the woods at night aren't gonna see it, and it's gonna run right into it and you might scare the daylights out of them. They might not wanna come back to this plot very often because they think this is a plot where as soon as they try to enter it, they get shocked or zapped or what have you with one of those fences. And it wouldn't be a great location here. But you know, the biggest thing for me is being able to produce tons of food that can handle tons of browse pressure and gives them food, you know, pretty much April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and then even sometimes early December up here, you know, before it gets buried in snow. And even sometimes then with the snow, you'd be surprised how these deer will dig this up, because this clover will be this tall going into the fall. The deer will dig this up and they will just tear into this all winter, and then it starts to sprout back up. Usually around March, April, it'll start to sprout back up again, and then you've just got tons of food in here right away, and it works out very, very well. And when the season closes in January, you know, around here, when the season closes up, we can put corn out here and other stuff to try to feed the deer, you know, through the, you know, real harsh times of the year when clover's not doing the best, there's not much left to dig up. We still want to make sure that they get well fed so that they're not starving out here, of course, even though deer know how to find food. But you know, if you're trying to keep your deer around your property and give them as much as you can without them having to go elsewhere, it can help. The other thing is too, clover is easy to establish. Even if you have to replant it in 3 or 4 years, it establishes very easily. All I'd have to do is mow this, till it, and reseed it, and it would be totally fine. That's how easy you can grow this stuff too. So there's a few reasons as to why I plant this type of clover, white ladino clover. I believe this is the jumbo clover. The deer love it. It's easy to plant, produces a ton of food. It can handle a lot of browse pressure and seem to rebound wonderfully and provide food for almost the entire year. That's what you want to do, is provide the most food possible. And I just feel like white ladino clover does that for us. Now, of course, clover is not the only thing we plant and have around here. We do have the ag field here, the hay field. This is starting to peter out a little bit, but it is still producing alfalfa. The deer still feed on this up until early fall. Once we get our first couple frosts, it doesn't really seem to hold on too well. And we also plant corn and beans. So last year, right here, we had a bunch of beans here, a bunch of soybean here, and then the back half along the woods, we had a bunch of corn planted. It seemed to do well, but we never really did see a lot of deer in it, which doesn't mean they weren't eating it, just means we didn't see them in the daylight out here. But that was kind of shocking to me, because I thought for sure between this spot over there, and spot at the back of the property with standing corn and standing beans, I thought this is going to be such good hunting. It's going to be so easy. We're going to see deer in this stuff in the daylight all the time compared to what we're used to. And it just didn't happen. I don't know why. We didn't hunt the property near as much as we do, you know, compared to years prior. We always hunted the wind and tried to hunt the smartest we could. I don't really understand it. Maybe it's just something our deer weren't used to, those plots being in those locations. But they were grown, they were mature and lush and huge. I mean, it was awesome. I was just really, really surprised. But the clover plot down on that river spot, along that river on that big flat bank, we saw deer in that plot all the time. We shot 5 does out of that stand in the first 4 days of the deer season last year, because we have to tag a doe here in the deer reduction zone in Indiana. We have to tag a doe before we can shoot a buck in the deer reduction zone. And so, you know, we had to shoot those does. It's just a regulation around us, at least, that I'm aware of. Oh, this wind is crazy. But it was just odd because, you know, I was thinking they're going to be all over the beans. They're going to be all over the beans and the hay, you know, like. But I planted that clover just in case, you know, that stand of clover and that hidden little spot along the river coming out to this field would be better. And man, was it. I mean, these deer loved it. We shot a few deer off of that plot last year, and it just worked out very, very well. The deer loved it. It was nice, secluded, surrounded by brush on both sides with just enough visibility to see what's around the corner, but not so enclosed, that they felt like they were, you know, cornered in that plot. So it worked out very well. Plots like that, long, narrow, but not too narrow, slight little windy action going on with them. Deer seem to feel very comfortable feeding in them. At least for us, it's worked out very well. We are working on the hunt giveaway website. Reagan is working away on that like crazy. My wife, she is getting that put together as we speak. She's been doing all the website stuff. She's awesome at that stuff and very, very talented at it. That is in the progress. I don't know for sure if it'll be able to be launched on June 1st anymore or not, but it'll be very close to that. But just stay tuned, guys. We'll have the videos out when it goes live, and then one of you guys are gonna be able to win a hunt with us, so just stay tuned. That'll be a very simple process to be able to enter. Just buy anything on the store and it'll get you entries to win. So just stay tuned, guys. Hopefully, guys are excited. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.